Hey guys, welcome back to another little jacket vlog. Today we're doing my husband, Darth Maul, and I'm gonna share a little bit more about my process this time around since I documented way more. So here we go, getting started. This is probably my favorite stage. The most easygoing part of the process, the initial transferring of my drawing, my rough drawing, because I'm obviously not going to do that directly onto the jacket, but this is the most fun, easygoing part. It's kind of just like the last hurrah before things get real and I actually have to start working. You can just scribble around and then transfer, essentially. So by putting that graphite on the back of my initial drawing, I then go over top of it like I'm doing here. It's an arm workout because you really want to press down and make sure that your drawing fully transfers. I've had tragedies before where I wasn't pressing hard enough, not using enough pressure, and then my drawing just didn't show up at all onto my actual, finished surface where I want it to be. So this is essentially just the process of retracing all of your, your contour drawing and whatnot, and then the magical moment when you say a prayer, and yes, thank gosh, it came out. And then I got started. Full disclosure, this entire jacket, I sat down with the intention of trying to do it in one day because this was maybe my smallest surface that I was working on. It's a women's small jean jacket, and as you can see, I'm only working on this center portion here. So, as always, I got started with those Sith yellow eyes. Regardless, I think I just start with the eyes for everyone, especially when I'm doing a portrait. I always start with the eyes, which they would maybe tell you not to do. I don't know, just because it's such a detail-oriented area, but that's why I like it. I just like to hit the ground running, like get some of the more intricate steps over with, and it's just the most fun for me, so I figure start with what I'm most excited about, especially Sith yellow irises. I can never resist. So, that's just my process. Again, people might tell you differently to get a handle on the whole face first. But I just like to work, outwards. Starting from this is just a good way for me to just get anchored, feel like I have something accomplished. That's kind of the way I work, I guess. I need to feel productive in a sense, and then work outward, as you can see. So I started with the this is giving me flashbacks, actually. I guess I was a little bit nervous. I was so excited for this one because, as you can see, it's essentially just like paint by number once you separate, his tattoos from his, red skin and whatnot. So that part of the process was easy. In terms of the portrait, I figured I was going to be able to fly through it because it is just, black and red, fairly simple. And like I said, the division of, the tattoos help to break it up. So you get to kind of just go in. It looks like a coloring book, essentially. So that was fun. It was a very easygoing part of the process, but I'm having flashbacks to when I tried to attempt to paint my face to look like Darth Maul. And it didn't look anywhere near as good as this. Nowhere near. So clearly painting on an actual surface is a lot less harrowing than trying to give myself a Darth Maul makeover. You guys know my obsession with Darth Maul. As you can see here, I clearly decided to go with the Clone Wars version of him. I guess you can't really tell because I was using a reference image of Clone Wars Darth Maul, and that is my favorite iteration of Darth Maul. Without it, I don't even think... I mean, you guys know he's my husband, like he's my favorite character, but without the Clone Wars, I don't know if that would be the case because it really painted his character in a completely different light for me. It's very hypocritical because you guys know my other favorite character is Qui-Gon Jinn, so like how the frick did that happen? That I also love his murderer equally, if not perhaps even more so. Psychologically, I don't know what that necessarily means about me or my well-being. I cannot explain it, but I think it's because the Clone Wars iteration of this character, which, by the way, we're going to be freaking meeting Sam Witwer at Star Wars Celebration, and I think I'm going to try to have him sign this because we have a signing scheduled with him, so that would be so freaking amazing. But it's really because of him, a testament to his performance and what he was able to do to take the character from just... obviously this menace in Phantom Menace, this adversary who, there's my freaking palette, by the way. I need to step up my game and not work on paper plates. But, you know, it's a testament to him and what he was able to do with just his vocal performance to give this character so many new layers. I think that's just why I love Darth Maul. He's so complex, and I think even though every time he will disappoint you, like, he is always just fueled by rage, revenge, self-serving. We know this about him, but I think there's a complexity there because, at least for me personally, there's always like a smidgen of hope that maybe he'll get it together and like come around, snap out of it, and do the right thing, which he kind of tries to do a little bit in the Clone Wars finale. You know, it's kind of such a tragic irony that he's the one at the very end, you know, trying to warn Ahsoka, trying to prevent, you know, with his visions that he has seen. He can foresee the downfall of Anakin Skywalker. He knows Palpatine's up to something and he's going to be replacing, you know, he's looking for his right-hand man. Oh, it's just such tragic irony that, you know, because Maul's like, you know, boy who cried wolf in a sense. Nobody's ever going to believe him because everything he's done in the past has just been in self-serving efforts. So why would anyone ever believe him or give him, you know, a second thought? So it's kind of just, oh, I was not expecting him to have such a pivotal role, you know, in Order 66 and the Clone Wars series finale, rather. But yeah, it's really because of that show that he became one of my, if not my absolute favorite character, because admittedly, you know, as a kid watching The Phantom Menace, I think if anything, I was more so just freaked out by Darth Maul. Like, I think he might have just scared me a little bit, and he is so short-lived, but maybe that's why I love his return in the Clone Wars. It really just amplified, added so much to his character that wasn't already there. So yeah, of course, y'all know I had to go and represent. So here we are at this point in the process. We pretty much flew through his portrait. This took me an entire, maybe just 1 day's worth of work, 1 to 2 days, not even. And as you can see, we made our way to the background, where I'm going to confess I had absolutely no idea what the frick I was doing. I kind of wanted to, I don't know, make it fun, because I was like, this is my design, I want to do something that I want to wear, but I don't really know what I want the background to be. This is a recurring theme in all of my freaking artwork. I always dedicate all my time and energy to, you know, the portrait or whatever it might be, figure drawing in the foreground, and then I neglect the background, or I just don't have an idea going in. Here, as you can see, I had no freaking game plan. My only concept of a plan was to do some lighter colors, maybe so that he would pop. Originally, I was thinking like an all black and all red background, but that would have been counterintuitive because there would have been nothing there allowing him to stand out. So I went with, you know, these kind of like greens and blues, like a little bit complementary. It tried to create this kind of like halo effect, as you can see, going in with some lighter colors, trying to do whatever I could to, you know, to make him pop. And it worked. At this point, though, I think he maybe popped a little bit too much. Like, I still at this point did not know what the frick I was doing. That's how it looked, and I highly considered just leaving it like that, like just sleeping on it, which I did. I let everything dry. There's the carnage. There's all in a day's work. And went back in with some white the next day to just kind of bump up the highlights a little bit, amp up the contrast. I felt like his face was lacking some dimension, and it needed a little bit more depth. It kind of just wasn't popping as much as I wanted it to, which is fine. And I think just these little finishing touches helped so much, just adding a little bit more highlights, brightening, you know, the whites of his eyes, some other areas to just kind of define his features a little bit more, as you can see. And I think just a few going in with, again, a little bit more just pure red, like I think just these few little touches made me feel a lot better about it. Not that I was hating on it, but I think it helped to just kind of define his features a little bit more in the long run. He was starting to look a little too flat for my liking, so this was also me delaying the inevitable, which was getting to the background afterwards. But as you can see, even just those few additions, brightening up some of the whites, the highlights, helped to get his features back. So there we are, going in with the gold. Y'all, this gold I'm obsessed with, because I think it literally is just beautiful. But at this point I can confidently say, in all honesty, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it, I had no clue what the frick I was doing. What have I done? My concept was I wanted to create this kind of delicate line work that mimicked like his body tattoo shapes, like make it a little bit abstract. And I can safely tell y'all, like, straight up, dead honest, I regretted this as soon as I frickin' went in with the gold. What have you done? I went with the gold because my game plan was to do some gold and red to kind of anchor him more, to do something to create a bit more of a balance, because I felt like he was popping off the background too much. Like there wasn't this anchored unity between them, so I needed something to kind of balance it out. I did the gold originally before I went in with the red here, as you can see, but I'm gonna be so real with y'all this entire time. I was like, what have I done? Shouldn't have done that. Regrets, but at this point you have to live with your decisions. And honestly, that is another recurring theme in my artwork, where I guess maybe it's self-imposed in a way, like mentally. If I don't know what I'm doing, I just like send it pedal to the middle and just like force myself, like, well, work with what you got. And if you put yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in, like I was in here, regretting it majorly, because the geometry, the linear kind of nature of the designs, I didn't think it matched at first the kind of free-flowing painterly, you know, brush strokes of the background. But again, I was going in, and this kind of turned into paint by numbers again. As you can see, I went in with some white to kind of just like define it a little bit, emphasize these kind of like abstract shapes and whatnot, and I think it helped so much. At this point, I wasn't regretting anymore. I was actually really satisfied with how this turned out. I think it just made it more dynamic. There's the finished product. I think it needed that versus the way it looked. It was just too plain with the original background. I will of course include some clips of me wearing it. I am so freaking excited to rep this at Celebration. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you enjoyed this a little bit more process focused voiceover vlog, just a little bit more of a look into my psychological state while I'm working on these, and just why I love Darth Maul, why he's my mans in general. May the force be with you guys always, and I'll see you guys in the next one very soon.